Ukrayna ve Türkiye arasındaki tarımsal ticaret potansiyelini ve Ukrayna'da tarımı konuşmaya devam ederken yine çok önemli bir isim var yanımızda. Ukrayna'nın bakanlık kaldırılmadan önceki son Tarım Bakanı Olga Hanım. Daha sonrasında tekrar bir süre bakanlık lağvediliyor. Daha sonra tekrar 2020 yılında bakanlık tekrar kuruluyor ve zaten şu anki Tarım Bakanı ile olan röportajımızı da dinlediniz. Olga Hanım şu anda aynı zamanda tarım konusunda danışman olarak görev yapıyor. Kendisiyle Ukrayna'da tarımı özellikle konuşacağız. Hello, Mrs. Minister, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for having us. First of all, of course, I want to start with your experience because when you were in office in 2018 as deputy minister and also in 2019 as minister, especially in 2018, you had visits to Turkey and you had some forums together. I think after that, actually on the agricultural ministry level, there was no forums between Turkey and Ukraine, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So could you please tell your experience about that time? Did you find it useful? Do you think that it's necessary that this relationship level will come back?
Okay, thank you for your question, and that's absolutely true. During my work in the Ministry of Agricultural Policy and Food of Ukraine, from 2016 to 2019, in different roles, in different positions, we worked very actively on the relations, bilateral relations development between Ukraine and Turkey in agri-food sector. Why? Because I was absolutely sure, and I'm still sure now, that Turkey is among our top strategic partners in agri-food sector, and we are talking here not only about the export and import of agri-food products, let's say like I don't know, grain, meat, whatever else, but we are talking also about the deeper cooperation in agri-technologies, in agricultural machinery production, in processing of food, and many other subsectors. So that's why you're right. We paid a lot of attention to the bilateral relations, both on governmental level and business level, between Turkish and Ukrainian agri-food sectors. We had at least several forums. I was also with our Chamber of Trade and Commerce of Ukraine. We had a couple of visits, high-level governmental visits to Turkey to discuss our free trade agreement because we wanted to have more progress on free trade between our two countries, and it's a little bit pity but what I see during last 2 years, where we have a little bit of slowdown in these activities. Let's say maybe COVID-19 is one of the reasons, but I think that from the Ukrainian side we should really pay more attention and undertake more steps to again activate all these activities between Ukraine and Turkey.
We are here now visiting. We have had a lot of interviews with companies that are active in Ukraine from Turkey, and also Ukrainian companies that are doing agricultural trade with Turkey, both on the import side and on the export side. Usually on the export side as grains, and on the import side with machinery that they are taking, or technology they're taking from Turkey. Where do you think, for our spectators who are potential traders and investors, where do you think is the biggest potential, in which areas?
Okay, first of all, it's really great to see that Turkish business, I should say, is very active in Ukrainian agri-food sector, and that's, I think that that is a good sign, because we are talking very often about real foreign direct investments. We have in Ukraine many Turkish companies who are working in primary production, who have even fields, so who are working on a land in producing of grain. But we also have Turkish companies who are working in processing, who are supplying here any kind of technological solutions, as you said. As for a potential right now, I do see more possibilities in developing of processing of grains, processing of meat products, processing of, by the way, different kind of niche products and niche crops, which can be then sold maybe to a third countries. We should think about such kind of joint ventures, which are producing, let's say, ready to eat, I don't know, healthy snacks or some healthy and superfoods kind of things. You have here technologies. You have here access also to some markets, interesting markets, and Ukraine has its resources. Also, it has labor, it has land. Absolutely, but also some technologies as well. So we should see how we can be useful to each other in this kind of the sectors. For instance, in Ukraine, you see during the last couple of years, absolutely unbelievable rate of the development of drone market, for instance, for the working in agriculture. This is one of the interesting sectors for the cooperation. When we're talking about meat production, it could be beef, it could be sheep meat with halal certificates, and not only for Turkey, but for the whole region of the Near East, Middle East, but also don't forget Africa. And here, by the way, also, as for me, one of the great directions for our bilateral efforts. What can Turkish and Ukrainian business do? We can develop some solutions, some service packages and solutions for the African markets. Turkey has also already some strong positions in some African countries, and together with Ukrainian companies, together with Ukrainian expertise, Ukrainian products and some commodities, we can maybe gain more stronger positions on the African markets. So this is about the potential. A lot to do.
Yes, and especially recently, there was a recent call from the current Minister of Agricultural Policy and Food as well, and that there will be maybe land that will be able, it's now rented, but maybe there will be land that will be sold. So if there are any Turkish investors that are thinking of investing in totally producing in Ukraine, do you think that there's a potential there, and what would you recommend them?
Okay, absolutely. First of all, even independent on the development on the land market, I must say that it's still questionable if the foreign companies and foreign legal entities will be allowed to buy Ukrainian agricultural land after 2024. It's I must be honest, it's still discussable, very high on the agenda in Ukraine issue. But as you rightly said, many foreign companies are already working in Ukraine, also by the way, Turkish companies and farmers. We are renting this land. We have long-term renting contracts, and this is no problem at all for them. And this is a good, let's say, background for investing again in processing, because there is an interest. What we see, this shift from the primary production to the processing capacities. And one of a great example, for instance, for me, by the way, of the Turkish producers and farmers here in Ukraine, it was Ali Bulut, who I've known personally, and unfortunately who passed away. But we remember him well because he was, like, such a bright person and highly high professional, who was working very carefully on Ukrainian land. And he was, by the way, a very good example of how these foreign direct investments, not in a huge scale, but in a rather moderate scale, can work both for Ukraine and also for Turkey. So I can only invite Turkish companies to come to Ukraine, to have these contacts. Now you see Ukraine quite flexible with all these restrictions, no matter what's going on with COVID-19. So they can come to Ukraine, have bilateral meetings, B2B on B2B level, and see on their own, even in regions, what kind of opportunities we can have. Because it's also, Ukraine is also a large country, and it really depends. You've been in Vinnytsia, so in central Ukraine. It's one of the major agricultural producing regions of Ukraine, and there are many other oblasts, regions. Their Turkish businesses are not there yet. So we can discover Ukraine, we can come, we can see where we can invest in primary production, in processing, in logistics, by the way, and agrotechnologies, definitely.
And one final question is, what's the image of Turkish products here, especially with regards to technologies? When we're talking about equipment, machinery, technology, what's the perception of the Turkish brand here?
The answer can be very short. It's very good. It's really good. You have very good image. Ukrainian importers of the technologies, of the machinery, any other kind of equipment are very satisfied these Turkish machines. But also we are satisfied even in a brighter, let's say, in a wider sense. We are satisfied with partnership. They say that Turkish partners are reliable. That's normally about a long-term cooperation, so that's not like one-time deal, and that's great. I think that's why, again, here is already very good basis for this bilateral cooperation, bilateral economic relations in agri-food, because of his good image. Because Ukrainian producers, they know already what is Turkish equipment or machinery about, and that means that in the future we can only grow and develop that.
Thank you very much for your time. And finally, if you want to say anything to our spectators from Turkey that are watching you right now, I'll just leave the word to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. And I wish a lot of success to the Turkish companies who are working right now, maybe not yet in Ukraine. Come to Ukraine, please. Invest in Ukraine and cooperate with Ukrainian agri-food companies. So we are waiting for you here.